All right, what is up? We are live. Another race, another controversy. This time, I'm going to be talking about the DVP, probably a little bit, I would imagine. But before we jump into that, let's go over the finishing order because we have another non playoff driver, a spoiler, if you will, winning this race. And this time it is Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the third in the Kroger Health Palm Olive Chevrolet. A big win. It's always a good win whenever JTG Doherty or whatever gets a win. I always feel good about that because they're such a small team relative to the teams that they're racing against. I don't ever want to let this be. I know some people are like bummed out because their driver didn't win or whatever. They might otherwise not be happy with this race for some reason. But I never want to skip over when the 47 car wins a race because relative to the teams they're racing against, they're such a small organization and it's such a huge accomplishment when they get it done. So shout out to the 47 team, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for wheeling that thing at the end. He was aggressive all race. Looked like the Fords were a little bit faster, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has never once ever let that anything like that slow him down. So good run for him and good run for that team. Shout out to them. Always a hard thing to do to win a cup race, period. Second place man, Brad Keselowski, he was right there. It's about as close as you get. And third place man, William Byron, making it three wide. And these three cars right here disprove the myth that green cars are unlucky. I'll hear your argument about William Byron's car not being green, but it's in the green family. It's greenish yellow. So three green cars, 1, 2, 3, the 47, the 6, and the 24, completely shattering the myth of green cars being unlucky. Of course, the man pushing Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, finishing fourth. And this is a big, big run for him. The 5 car typically does not do well. These are some of his worst tracks or restrictor plate tracks, super speedways, whatever you want to call them these days. Larson typically doesn't have the finishes. He usually has a pretty fast car here, but usually gets collected in a wreck. He usually doesn't finish these races. So for them to finish this race, not only finish, but you get 1 point in stage 2, and in stage 1 they finished fourth. So they get whatever amount of points. What is it, 6 or 7 points for finishing fourth there in that stage. So they for them this is a maximum effort day. Did exactly what they needed to do. Eric Jones finishing in fifth here. 43 team Legacy Motor Club has had an awful season. I would have liked to seen Eric Jones go with Kyle Busch there at the end because I think that would have given Eric Jones a chance to win. He could have pushed Kyle Busch all the way out there, and I think he then could have slid in and possibly gotten himself a win. But that being said, the way his season is gone, I don't necessarily have a problem with him settling for that fifth place finish and just sort of riding there at the end, especially with all the carnage. They knew they were going to have a good finish. It most likely if he just stayed in line. So I don't have a problem with him doing that either. Just heart of hearts, I want to see that 43 car win. So I would have liked to seen him push the 8 car or see the 8 car win. But like I said, it's always a good day when the 47 wins. And we still got a 3 wide finish anyway. So a very, very minor nitpick there. Great run for Eric Jones. Good momentum for Legacy Motor Club. They needed that run. The guy that nobody talks about finishing in 6th place here just keeps showing up and getting good point stays. Christopher Bell, another great run for him. Got to be one of your playoff favorites. Justin Haley evens the score. It is now 1-1 in the trade. Spire versus Rick Ware Racing. Justin Haley finishing in 7th place after starting 35th in the Gainbridge Chevrolet. So keeping score at home, it is now 1-1. Austin Dillon, good run for him. He's a really good plate racer. And that team definitely needs all the momentum they can get after the slow start to the season. Although RCR has picked it up here, we'll say the last third of the season, they've had some good runs ever since the Olympic break, I guess would be the best way to say it. It's a good run for them. Bubba Wallace kind of hung out all day in the number 23 U.S. Air Force Toyota there. He gets a 9th place finish. Same thing with Denny Hamlin. He kind of hung out. That big wreck there at the very end kind of saved Denny Hamlin. He had some crash damage, but was able to continue. Martin Truex Jr. gets a good finish. Good finish for him in 11th place there. Cody Ware finishing 12th, the highest of the Rick Ware Racing cars in the Arby's Ford. Shout out to Arby's for sponsoring its second car this season, Cody Ware. And of course, they sponsored the MBM 66. I want to say at Bristol. Ty Gibbs there in 13th, Monster Energy car. Carson Hocevar in 14th, SVG 15th. So top 15 for all of the Spire Motorsports cars, and SVG doing a great job. Well, he's not Spire, but got mixed up there. Sorry. So much going on. Anyway, a good run for SVG. He finished 15th there. So good run for him. At a super speedway because the knock on him, he's just good at road courses. He's learning fast, and He might be a problem next season in his rookie campaign. We'll have to wait and see. Rest of your finishing order is going to be from here on out: Alex Bowman 16th, Chris Buescher 17th, Corey LaJoy 18th in his Rick Ware. So not a bad run for Rick Ware Racing. 18th, not bad at all. Kyle Busch moving out of line there at the very end. That relegates him to 19th. Tyler Reddick continues his awful playoffs, finishing in 20th. But that might not actually be bad for him, because if you go further down the list, there's plenty of playoff drivers that finished behind him. Zane Smith, 21st. BJ McLeod, get loud for McLeod, 22nd there. Todd Gilliland, he got that pit road penalty there. That ruined his day, 23rd. Anthony Alfredo, 24th. Noah Gregson, 25th. Daniel Suarez, 26th. And all these guys basically in this from here on down, because there was 28 cars in that big wreck. So I guess we got to talk about that at some point too. So 28 cars were affected by that wreck, and your finishing order here obviously affected by that. JJ Yaley, AJ Allmendinger, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, John Hunter Nemechek, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Harrison Burton, Ryan Preece, Josh Berry, Michael McDowell, Daniel Hemrick, Ryan Blaney, and Ross Chastain finishing dead last after winning last weekend in the Busch Light camo car. So like I said, all these good drivers down here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six playoff drivers finished below 28th, below 26th. Daniel Suarez 26. So 6 playoff drivers below 26. That is not good for the playoffs. And we'll jump over here because we actually have the playoffs as it stands right now. Right now, William Byron is in. He is locked all the way in to the next round, and he is your leader. Christopher Bell is going to be in second place. Then you got Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, and Chase Briscoe. So Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, and Joey Logano are going to be your men on the outside looking in. They're the ones most affected sort of by that huge big one, the biggest of the big ones. 28 cars, the biggest one we've had, I guess, since we've gone to this type of race car or whatever. It might be the biggest one of all time. I can't really remember what the statistic was, but I know a lot of people were talking about it. But yeah, looking like a pretty significant gap especially for one race. Let me do the math. It's probably going to be bad here, but as J-Ski is showing it right now, it's looking like 13 points from Logano to Chase Elliott for that 8th and final transfer position. He's at minus 74, minus 81 for Suarez to the lead, but only 11 because Chase Elliott's minus 61, so minus 13 between Logano and Elliott. So yeah, going to be super interesting. Chase Briscoe is basically in a win to get in, and so is Austin Cindric. And I'm going to say Daniel Suarez might be able to point it in, but definitely Cindric and Briscoe, they're gonna need a win to get to the next round, I want to say. But yeah, everybody, I'd say first through third is probably locked in pretty good. Denny Hamlin's sitting pretty nice as well. As long as they don't have a bad race, they'll transfer. But it's going to be super interesting as we go to the Roval. But speaking of the big one, 28 cars, and the DVP question came up once again, because at one point it looked like Chase Briscoe was going to get towed to the garage and Chase Elliott was going to get pushed to pit road. And I knew that was going to be a huge controversy as things got sorted out. And thank God NASCAR did sort it out and get it handled. They both were able to go to pit road and they both were able to work on their cars. I can't remember which ones actually got back out on track and which ones didn't, but at least they both did have the same opportunity. However, if you remember last weekend with Rodney Childers and and his car with Josh Berry, the number 4 car, pretty much a very similar circumstance, and he was not allowed to work on his car. He did tweet out in this race that he's not surprised at all at how this went, and you could tell from the tone of the tweets on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now known as X, that he was not happy with how this was handled, because it was in direct opposition to, in his opinion, how they handled the previous incidents with his car sitting with 4 flat tires. So that brings up the question, and I'll probably ask this poll question later, but the poll question up right now is, were you entertained with this race? 77% saying yes, 23% say. I'm going to end that now. And I'm going to put up this poll question. Do you think we should get rid of the damaged vehicle policy? Can't type and talk at the same time. I'm not that skilled. I'm gonna go yes, no, just modify it. And I'm also gonna go no clock, but keep it. Use an official, and by use an official, I mean the official would have to okay it to go back out on the racetrack. Can't spell. There we go. Probably still spelled it wrong, but anyway, there you go. That is the question, the poll question. So go ahead and get your vote in there, and we'll go from here. And I'll jump into the chat and see what you guys want to talk about. Chrome Diesel saying, "What's up? What's up, Chrome Diesel? What's up in between the lanes as well?" Um, I thought Bush had it there at the end. Says in between the lanes. Yeah, he was looking good. I was really thinking Eric Jones was going to go with him, but Eric Jones decided not to go with him. Business decision on Eric Jones's part. I don't blame Eric Jones at all, but I think it would have gotten really interesting if he had went with Kyle Busch at the end, and that would have been three wide, basically all the way to the finish. That being said, if you're Eric Jones and you've had the season you've had, you made the smart business decision to just go ahead and get that fifth place finish. I'm not hating on it at all. I understand it, but I think he could have pushed Kyle Busch to a position where Eric Jones himself would have had a chance to win that race. So I think it could have got really interesting. It still got really interesting at the end with a three wide finish with the 24 there, making it three wide and almost stealing it there. Tough day for the Jets and Mets. Yeah, I just saw the Mets game as I was leaving here. Bryce Harper looked like he just about hit a home run. I can't remember if it went fair or foul. That was the last thing I saw, but apparently something happened with Bryce Harper, or maybe the guy that batted after him, and they did get the Mets there at the very end. It was 6-6 last time I saw. But yeah, so tough day for the New York, New Jersey gang that pulls for the Jets and the Mets. God dang, Big Rick hurt the 22 momentum, says Russell Dominguez. Yeah, no doubt about it. The 22 car, he was definitely affected by that race. He had to get out of his car. Chase Briscoe, I don't think he ever got back on track because his rear toe link was broken. So if they did get it fixed, minor miracle, good on them for doing it. Ryan Blaney, he wasn't necessarily in the big wreck, I guess, but he was in one of those wrecks. And man, how he was able to just keep driving that car in the Ross Chastain, the totally different wreck, but he was able to keep driving that car for a few laps before that car finally gave up the ghost. So that was pretty crazy too. Brain fade of the day, Talladega damaged vehicle policy fiasco. Yeah, so for my 2 cents, what I would like to see is you can have a damaged vehicle policy, but get rid of the timer. I don't feel like the timer is safe. Your crew guys, you put them in a safety issue there when you're trying to get them to rush through fixes and things like that. When you've got that clock on there, get rid of the clock. Still have a damaged vehicle policy, but have the damaged vehicle policy be this: you can go behind pit road and work on your car. A NASCAR official has to look at that car and make sure that that car is fit to go back on the racetrack. You go back on the racetrack and you can either keep minimum speed or you can't keep minimum speed. That is your one opportunity. If you can't keep minimum speed, you're out of the race. That damaged vehicle policy, in my opinion, makes a whole lot more sense than the current damaged vehicle policy that they have now. So that's the way personally I would do it. But, it's all up to interpretation. That is a poll question. So get your vote in on it. Either way, I just got home from the race, four wide. Finish was for the finish was insane, says Dirty Death. No doubt about it. That was it's going to be an all-timer finish, no doubt about it, at Talladega. And I think it was a great race. I think from start to finish, that race had a little bit of everything you wanted to see in a race. So heck yeah, Monster Shots saying heck yeah, Kyle Stream. No doubt, Monster Shots. Glad to have you on here. Unfortunately, sorry about your luck with the 22. He had a strong car today. Just unfortunately, that push from Brad. Well, I think the 22 was pushing Brad, and then Brad got to the two car with so much momentum that the two car just couldn't take it because he had gotten out, and a little bit on Austin Cindric for getting way too far out in front of him. So just an incident. No, not really anybody's fault, but a lot of people were pinning it on Brad, and really it's just a drafting incident thing. To me, obviously you can have a different opinion. No problems with that. Another Brad. Oh, here we go. Another Brad K push gone bad. At least there's one super speedway race for the last couple of years. Yeah, he is definitely, especially at the end of these races, overly aggressive. So that's definitely another way of looking at it for sure. But this time, when I was looking at it, looked like the 22 was pushing the mess out of the 6 car. So I don't really, in this one particular situation, I'm not sure that the 6 car really could have done much about it. And Austin Cindric got, in my opinion, just a little too far in front of his pushers there. Should have drug the brake, maybe just a little bit. So just a racing incident, in my opinion. Austin Cindric left a big hole in the Stenhouse store where they collided. In Stenhouse's door where they collided, says PC Gone Rogue. Fun race. Shame for KFB, says the brain. Indeed, it was definitely a fun race. Look, KFB, he finished 19th, but I'm much happier with that 19th place finish because he was going for the win at the end. So I'd rather somebody finish 19th going for a win than somebody finish, fifth or sixth, not going for the win. That's just the way. That's just the way I like doing things. So it is what it is, especially when you're not in the playoffs. But it is what it is. To each their own. Race how you want to race. Sometimes you got to make a business decision. I'm not throwing shade at anybody. Fun race. A shame for KFB, indeed. Why did Briscoe and Elliott allowed to continue? Both hit the wall. So last week they were told we were done. Exactly, Dirty Death. It is a huge double standard. Rodney Childers more or less pointed it out on Twitter. Last week, it was a penalty, and this week it's not a penalty because it's a NASCAR judgment call. And we have got to get a way. You can have judgment calls, but you can't have as many judgment calls as NASCAR has in their rule book. Can we not just have some things in black and white? And like I said, just get rid of the damaged vehicle policy. They could have took all this mess, wouldn't even be necessary. All these cars go behind the wall. You get them fixed properly. They get back on the racetrack, and they either meet minimum speed or they don't. And if something falls off of the car, that's the same thing as not meeting minimum speed. You go and park it. So you only need 2 rules. Have to get to minimum speed, and if anything falls off of your car after you repair it, you're parked. That's it. That's the only 2 rules you need. Let's see. They left KFB hung out to dry, sucked the sea, says Monster Shots. Yeah, yep. He went for it. So I mean, he did his job. And Eric Jones it made a business decision. He didn't go with him. So it is what it is. Nothing wrong with what either guy did there. Just didn't work out for KFB this time. Maybe next time he does the same move. Here's the deal. If Eric Jones does go with him, it's a totally different story. Everybody's like, oh, Kyle Busch made a great move there. But now everybody's like, Kyle Busch went too early. So hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, right? Let's see. Howdy from the Great White North. What's up, Robin Marks? What's up, Canada? I said Ford would take out the other Fords. Ford took out the whole field. Maybe green was bad luck for everybody else. Hey, there you go. That's another way of looking at it. So the green car theory was bad luck for everybody else, not in a green car today. That's there you go. So technically, green car is still bad luck. You can work that angle for sure. KFB thought he would have help. LOL, Sister Death. Man, for all the money in China, I thought he was going to have help too. When he pulled out there, I thought for sure Eric Jones was going to go with him. And when he didn't, I was like, oh, he is cooked. He is cooked. And then nobody went and drafted with him. I was like, man, like if you're like 15th, go up there, jump up there with him and see if you can make something happen. I was definitely really surprised by that. Still can't figure out why Kyle Larson did not start behind William Byron, says Joseph Wooten. I mean, you can go, I don't know, you can nitpick every little bit of it till the end of time, but they made the choices they made. Kyle Larson was close. Like he was right there. He could have made a move on Brad Keselowski if it wasn't for the yellow line rule. So it is what it is. Conspiracy theory time. Damaged vehicle policy fiasco is being done on purpose. NASCAR did this to get fans off the lawsuit. Says Cody Ledger. That's one way of looking at it, but you can also look at it as NASCAR realized that this was a historically bad wreck with 28 drivers in it, and they did what NASCAR does. They made a different decision than they did the week before because that's how they wanted it to go this week. To me, I don't think it's much deeper than that. Luckiest driver of the race had to be Denny Hamlin, was running way back in 30. But I see where you're going with the conspiracy theory, and I do like it. So I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on and agree with you just because I like a good conspiracy theory. Luckiest driver of the race had to be Denny Hamlin, was running way back in 32nd. When that big crash happened. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So Denny Hamlin for sure benefited from the big wreck, no doubt about it. Even though he got a small piece of another wreck, but yeah, he was one of the benefactors, no doubt about it. I thought Daniel Suarez was going to be a benefactor of it too, but then at the very end of that wreck, somebody went right into Suarez's right front tire, and I think that snapped the toe link. So that sort of cooked Suarez, but it looked like Suarez was actually going to benefit from it too until just like the very last minute somebody slid into him. I can't off the top of my head remember who it was, but yeah, that sort of cooked him. Dirty Def, I agree. NASCAR being inconsistent once again. Logano said, I can't steer. Paul Wolf said, if they tow us back, we're done. The rule needs to be black and white so their calls can make sense. I agree. I agree. And like I said, all the rule has to say is you can take it behind the wall, work on it however long you need to. But when you come back out, you got to meet minimum speed. And if anything flies off your car, you're parked. That's pretty much cut and dry. That's an easy rule. And from that perspective, you don't even need a NASCAR official to look at it because if anything flies off that car, you're done. So they're going to fix it to the best of their abilities anyway. If you're not first, you're last. As in between the lanes. Yep, for sure. We had the old Wonder Bread car out there. I got completely lost in the DVP. I got completely lost in the DVP fiasco. No clue what was happening. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's a NASCAR judgment call. So NASCAR is going to make a judgment call, and it's always going to be, no matter what it is, NASCAR's judgment call is going to be questioned regardless. Not hating on him. Love the dude show, but I'm going to laugh when East Up has Byron in like sixth in his power rankings on Monday, saying he needs more out of Byron, says Say Kyle. Yeah, East Up does a great job. And whenever you make a power ranking, there's always, and that's why I don't mess with them, to be honest with you. There's always going to be one dude that you're constantly rating lower than he should be. It's usually probably going to be like Christopher Bell or somebody for most people. But and there's going to be one guy that you're over ranking. Like it's just such a hard thing. No matter what mathematical model that you come through and proof and you think you have everything figured out, there's always going to be one loophole and one guy's going to look. That's the problem with analytics. And I don't know what they were doing in baseball. They were picking up all these guys and it looked so good on paper and it worked for some teams and it didn't work for some teams. Just depends on your mathematical model. This is riveting talk. I know people want to hear about mathematical models, so I'll move on. But yeah, whenever you make a power ranking, there's always going to be one guy that catches the short end of the stick that's having a much better season than he's having. Josh Berry's reaction, but kudos to Estep for putting it out there. He's taking the heat on it, so good on him. Good dude for sure, no doubt about that. Josh Berry's reaction to the big one and the DVP was gold. What do you think, Bob? Says the brain. So yeah, no doubt about it. That was a pretty witty and quick comeback there from Josh Berry. Briscoe and Rush Truck Centers throwback. That was a good throwback too. The Wonder Bread car, also a good throwback. And I did like the, what was it, Beefaroo? Whatever was on the side of Noah Gregson's car was a good one too. I never understood the DVP. Cars came back damaged all the time without issues. They made a policy to fix a 1 in 100 problem. Hey, I'm with you, man. Minnesota Vikings signed the Iceberg, says in between the lanes. It's probably a good year to sign him. They're on a roll for sure. Although their quarterback didn't do a whole lot, but they got the win. That's the main thing. Didn't get the win for me in fantasy though. Yes, if they can get the car out and meet minimum speed, then they're good no matter how long in the box or garage, says Monster Shots. I agree. Putting a timer on it to me just makes it more dangerous for the people working on the car and more dangerous when it actually goes back out there. Policy needs to be rethought. Different people, says Perry Earl. I'm with you on that one. DVP is a joke. They didn't tow back the Penske cars right behind the wall, but all the Hendrick cars got to go right to the effing pits, says Stephen D'Amelio Jr. And that's what I'm saying. So just depending on the rules, some of the Penske drivers got out of their cars. But like to your point, if you drag one to pit road, the teams that don't get their cars dragged to pit road, the first thing out of their mouth is going to be, how come such and such? So there you go. How come such and such got towed and such didn't? BB, a little Earnhardt Day, says PC gone rogue. And yeah, I got the old Intimidator shirt on. Everyone was sitting at the race. I thought the 8 would win, but had no chance after getting hung out to dry. Yeah, yep. He made a big move, and it didn't go his way for sure. The Giants won today, says in between lanes. So yeah, there you go. The New Jersey Meadowlands area. Your Giants won today, so you got a little bit of positive momentum going there. So glad to see the 47 win one more time with the Kroger sponsorship. That was cool, and it was really cool that it was because I don't know. I just like the paint scheme when I first saw it today, and I was like, man, that thing looks. I just like green. I'm a green person, so I like the green car. I thought it was a sharp paint scheme, and they did a good job with it. All that for a blah finish. No one wanted that win. They all settled. Boo, says Robert Stone. So Robert Stone didn't like the finish, even though it was 3 wide there. I did see a few all that just for another Ricky Stenhouse Jr. win. So there's a couple of those floating around as well. Ross Chastain wrecked. My day was complete, says JG. So JG, not a Ross Chastain fan, so he was pumped up that I not only wrecked, but if you're not a Ross Chastain fan, he also finished last. So there you go. Cue the scene from Big Daddy about the New York Jets. Hopefully DVP is fixed by the time we are on the track in November. Yeah, no doubt about it. So I don't think it'll affect us in practice. So laying down practice laps, we won't have to worry about it. Watching Blaney run around the track half sideways for a lap or two was pretty funny. Four wide at times, says in between the lanes. People voted on the poll that Blaney would win. Oh yeah. Like by the numbers, you had to pick Blaney pre-race, no doubt about that. I think everybody. I'm trying to remember who did I have. I know I had Blaney as my favorite. Who did I have as my sleepers? I know I had Noah Gregson. He was in the wreck too. Who was the other sleeper I had? Was it Briscoe? Yeah. So everybody I picked got in the wreck. Everybody I picked to win got in the wreck. With 28 cars, that's not hard to do. So 28 car wreck. I got all the drivers I picked to win. Larson broke a record by finishing this race, says James Burns. Yeah, not Kyle Larson's greatest track, so it is what it is. He finished it, and that's all that matters. Got good points. Pretty much a maximum effort day for them as far as a super speedway goes. Next gen, in between the lanes, saying the next gen. I voted for Blaney on the poll, but wanted Busch to win. Says Lanes, it's a speedway issue, but Brad does cause his share of accidents with some of his pushes. Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. He's had races where it's 100% been on him for being too aggressive. This race, I just feel like it was a racing incident. But yeah, I'm with you. He has been in the past overly aggressive, but then again, you got to look at what pushed him to that. He got pushed around so much that he finally said, "I'm not cut." Or so many people cut him off that he said, "I'm not cutting anybody any more slack anymore." So you got to look at it from his perspective too. So that's part of it as well. How about Stenhouse with the celebration climbing the fence like an obstacle course? Dollars to donuts that NASCAR will find a way to outlaw that as soon as their insurance lawyers talk to them. People need to watch the replay. Chase Briscoe started the whole thing. He plowed into the car behind Logano. That car ran and plowed into Logano. So there you go. I knew Brad was getting a push that he couldn't get off of. So Brad in this particular situation didn't have anywhere to go because the 22 was pushing him. And I didn't look back further than the 22, but I figured the 22 got a mega push from somebody too. But like I said, at the end of the day, can the 14 or whoever was behind the 22 see anything in front of him other than the 22? Nah, he's just pushing. They're just pushing, and it's a product of this racing. Austin Cindric probably shouldn't have got out in front as far as he got out. That's another part of it because he knows a big push is coming. But it's the end of the race, and you're going for the win. So can you really blame any of them? It's just to me, it's just a racing incident. If Lionel says they're going to texture the door punch on the 47, I'd consider buying that die cast. But it will be cosmetic paint scuff. Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Back in the day, they had they called it the beach ball. It felt like you touched the beach ball before you got to the bumper, and that seemed to work pretty good. I'm a Chase fan. I think it's crap. He got towed back and was able to restart. NASCAR is very inconsistent, says Chris Heath. Yeah, I agree with it. And we don't even have to go to that. We can just go to last race. The literally exact same thing happened to Josh Berry, and they parked him. And this race, it happened to a bunch of people, and some of those people were able to at least get a chance to try to continue. Way too early real prediction, Busch or Truex Jr. for the win. Probably not a bad pick. I'm going to go I'll probably go with SVG because I'm pretty sure he's in the race, or maybe AJ Allmendinger. I'll just go with I'll go with an underdog pick there to keep this momentum of non-playoff drivers winning. Don't sleep on William Byron. He's a really good road course racer too. Hey, BB, I'm going to be out for Halloween. I'm making a body skin suit out of thick cut bologna and wearing an 8 hat and an Intimidator shirt covering the rest of me in bologna. My dog will love it. That's what I was about to say. Watch out for the dogs. If you're going to wear that particular suit, make sure you're really fast. So get your cardio up. Get ready for October 31st or whatever, and get ready because you're probably going to be doing some running. Let's see if they keep the DVP. I'd rather be the rule. You can only try to make fixes in the box, but no going back to the garage. If it can't be done in the box, you're done. I mean, that's also a fair way of looking at it too. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways you can get it done. But either way, I feel like once you get wherever you do the repairs, once you get back out on track, you have to meet minimum speed. And if anything falls off at any point before you meet minimum speed, then they park you. So I feel like that's fair fair way of doing it. I don't know why the green car is cursed. Bobby Labonte won the interstate battery scheme, won the championship, says Chrome Diesel. That's what I've been saying for the longest time. All these people, Harry Gant was Mr. October, or Mr. September, I should say. Reggie, whatever the guy for the Yankees, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Reggie Jackson, he was Mr. October. Let's see. Yeah, green cars have historically done well, but for whatever reason, it's still this myth that green cars are bad luck. Darrell Waltrip in the '88 for Diegard, he had some good runs with them. Brad Moran said this week, if you had 4 flat tires without hitting anything, they'll put you in the pits. But if you make contact with the wall, it's over. Says Dirty Def. Well, some of them cars made contact with the wall, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because somebody's going to put that on slow motion like 400 times and show where somebody hit the wall and still was able to continue in the race. So I'm pretty sure they reneged on their word because of the 28 cars that were involved in it. Good point. Chrome says 1,400 horsepower. Brake hard wears a tinfoil hat. Says in between the lanes. Def luckiest was the 24. Almost got taken out every single wreck. 99 almost hit him. 12 almost hit him. The 2 almost hit him. Missed every single one. LOL, says Say Kyle. If there's 4 blown tires, the rear diffuser acts as a jack stand. Yeah, that, and they've also got little body blocks to protect the carbon fiber underbody as well. That's the other problem. I can remember somebody had changed their engine during the race. Yeah, about 10 minutes. Junior Johnson's crew was able to change the engine in about 10 minutes back in the day. Please ask SVG to explain the damaged vehicle policy. that would be pretty funny. And do it under 2 minutes. Get Denny Hamlin to do it and do it under 2 minutes. My power ranking is full season points, says Chrome Diesel. Rich Eisen does power rankings, says in between the lanes. Yeah, it's a fun segment. It's just not something I ever really, I don't know. I never really got into it. I think it's more for like fantasy sports and stuff like that. And I never really understood the point of it because we have a point system in NASCAR, but it is what it is. I think the DVP policy needs to be changed, tweaked after the season. Apparently, it got changed with 6 races left in the season. LOL, says Dirty Def. Hey, I see what you did there, Dirty Def. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. It definitely needs to be tweaked a little bit. What's up, Shy? Good to see you on here, my man. Next week, Monday night, Jets and Bills. That'll be a pretty good one. We got a Thursday night game. Got the Seahawks and the 49ers. That's going to be a good one as well. For once, Denny doesn't get in the wreck because he can't run up front for very long. Saved his season plus 30 now. Yeah, indeed. You never thought that running 32nd would be a beneficial thing until 28 cars in front of you wreck. Yankees and Royals on Monday. Yeah, the Yankees won a barn burner last night. That was that was a crazy game. That was a crazy game at the end. The Royals relievers really let them down there. That's all I'll say about that. I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm just saying the Royals had that game pretty well sewed up, and their relief staff did not perform well. I was surprised that we were able to squeak that one out. Can't help but feel that this car ain't that great on plate tracks. The draft and push isn't that effective. One car blocking the entire field is ridiculous. I could go on, says the stranger. So he wasn't a big fan of how the race went. Guardians, Tigers as well. Says in between the lanes. 4 wide is something we didn't regularly get with the old car, though, says Thunder Strikes. It just depends on what era. Like when they had the wicker strip, you saw a lot of 4 wide. I want to say back in the day. I don't understand why SVG just attempted to go one more lap yesterday because he was last place finisher out of the 5 cars that were taken out on the same lap he was. He would have gained 4 points with a lap. That's a good point. That's a good point. Probably needs to take a look at that going forward. Wait, what's the question? Says Krusty. For the poll question, do you think we should get rid of the damaged vehicle policy? Yes, no, just modify it. No clock, just use an official. Those are the options. 62 votes so far and 60% saying yes, just get rid of it. So there you go. Overwhelmingly, I thought it would be a good poll question, but overwhelmingly, just get rid of it is the winner right now. I've never seen it 4 wide like that for a long time. Stranger, you're right. I'm just glad Blaney crapped the bed in time for me to put him in the garage in my fantasy, says Say Kyle. Hey, so there you go. Your early wreckers were able to help you fantasy-wise if you have a garage pick. Hamlin for the trophy. Winston Cup point style, says Krusty. He might. The Winston Cup points system is way closer than anybody. Latford system, I guess we should say, is way closer than anybody would have imagined this season. Bad Brad owner was thinking at the end, either I block and finish the 24 or I finish second. Yeah. He was probably thinking in dollar signs at that moment. Krusty smoking a heater there. Krusty, if he does that, you can look back at the chaos wreck and say it was a difference maker. Just hope Kyle Busch wins a race this year, says Thomas Haywood. He's oh so close. It seems like literally every other weekend he's super close. Larson will be back on top after next week. Great that the 47 won also, says James Burns. Brad K said no more breaks, and then wrecked the 24 in freaking practice at Daytona. I still hate him simply because of that. I do I do remember that one. Rex make checks at Dega, says Krusty, who had Stenhouse winning a race before KFB. Happy for JTG Doherty. Yeah, for sure. Whenever JTG Doherty wins, it's always just a great underdog story. I feel good for Brad Doherty. Just a good story there. But yeah, I don't think anybody had him winning a race before KFB. But hey, them's the breaks. My race was incomplete when Ross wrecked. Had a great car once again at a super speedway, but without the result of the match. AJ is in the 16 this week. Coming up, say Kyle Byron will win the Roval because he's the only one who doesn't need to win. Says say Kyle, hey, that could be a fact. That would help him because you get the 5 bonus points for winning it for playoff points or whatever. So it would still matter as far as that goes. I'm probably either going with Kyle Busch or Martin Truex Jr. for the win the rest of the way. Not a bad pick. You got to feel like one of them would get that done. Reggie Jackson, in fact, Mr. October. Appreciate you there in between the lanes. Kyle Busch won in the interstate battery scheme. Yeah, he won in the interstate batteries car all the time. He had a green M&M's car that he would run from time to time too. That he had some good runs in. Shout out to Biffle and all the other volunteers. Yeah, no doubt about it. Greg Biffle, man of the year, going out there and getting stuff done. TCB, taking care of business, helping out all those people up there that need help. The carbon blocks are optional, says James Byrne. Where you at on the 2311 Front Row Motorsports lawsuit? I think with the lawyer they got, I think they've got a good chance of getting it to go to Discovery. And once they get it to go to Discovery, I think it'll get settled out of court because NASCAR doesn't want Discovery to be made to the public. So I think once that happens, it'll resolve itself fairly quickly. Nemechek with the gear wrench scheme. That was a good looking paint scheme for sure. Baron Von Weebs says inner liners would help significantly with this tire. I can't disagree with you, but I forget. I guess because it was such a low profile, they didn't go with inner liners in them for some reason. I think was the official reasoning, but I might be wrong on that. Off the top of my head, though, I think that was their official reasoning. Red flag to move wrecked cars, all wrecked cars. Waiting for a red flag to end to see if they can move. Says I like Krusty saying F the Yankees. So Krusty is a big Yankees fan. Drop your information below. We'll send you a couple hats and some t-shirts. Royals couldn't throw strikes. I'm just kidding with you, my friend. Royals couldn't throw strikes out of the bullpen. Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they gave up that game. I thought they had it sewed up. I was actually fixing to go to bed and call it a night, and then the relievers came in, and I was like, we got some action here. So crazy game though, crazy good game. If you're a Royals fan, sorry your team lost. I'm not trying to rub it in, but it was just a crazy good game. John Rocker for president says Krusty. I don't know about that one. I'm not a fan when speed delta between pack and single car is more than 15 miles per hour. Says Chrome Diesel. Bill could also win the Roval. Oh yeah, Christopher Bell can win. He's sort of like William Byron. Neither one of them you really talk about a whole lot, but either any single week they could win a race, no doubt about it. I like this. You think Haley Deegan is done in all NASCAR series? Says Thomas Haywood. I don't know. She's sort of been mum's the word as far as her future plans. So I don't know. Somebody said she confirmed she's going to open wheel or something the other week, but I haven't seen anything about that one way or the other. I'd like to see Martin Truex Jr. and KFB get a win this year, but I don't see where it's going to happen for KFB. Martin Truex Jr. just can't put a race together. So who knows? Pray for Western North Carolina, says Krusty. Indeed, they have taken the brunt of it. Why not 3 champions, regular season champ, playoff champ, and ultimate point series champion has multiple belts, and that seems to be NASCAR's model and what they want to model themselves after. So there we go. Not necessarily that, but I have floated out there a triple crown. I think a triple crown would be something that we need to promote, because then you make the regular season championship mean something. You would make whoever wins the most races mean something, and you would also have the playoff. Obviously, the playoff thing is the most celebrated, but the win in the playoffs would also mean something. That would be a triple crown. For instance, the year that Kevin Harvick was coming close to winning the Triple Crown and didn't get it. He won the most races. He won the regular season, didn't get the playoff win. But that would have been a fun story to track. I feel like NASCAR is missing an opportunity by not promoting a Triple Crown as far as that goes. Moody said something about that a couple years ago when the cars first got stuck. Tire is too low profile to fit an interliner in there. So maybe that is the official line that they're giving us from NASCAR. Is Byron the only one locked in, or is Bell and Larson locked in now? As far as the last word I heard before I turned off the TV, they said Byron is the only one locked in as of right now. Oh, and owner and manufacturer champs. So that's 5. Bing, bang, boom. They are the WWE, says Sha. BB, I think NASCAR should not race in Charlotte due to the crisis, just like F1 canceled the Spanish GP for the same reason, says Sheldon Williams. I get what you're saying, but the crisis really, as far as I know, didn't really affect Charlotte so much as it affected the mountains of North Carolina. So I think they're still going to be good to go in the Charlotte area. But yeah, if it was near the mountains, I think for sure they would move it to a different time. No doubt about it. Last time I remember them moving a race was probably 2001 with everything that happened that year. They moved that race to Thanksgiving. So they ran Loudon on Thanksgiving Day, if I'm not mistaken. And that was the Robbie Gordon, Jeff Gordon race. I know Robbie Gordon won. I can't remember if that's the race where Robbie Gordon moved Jeff Gordon and there was some crazy controversy, but I do remember that Robbie Gordon won in the 31 Lowe's Monte Carlo. The Xfinity race next week is going to be crazy. Allgaier, SVG, and Mayer all below the cut line. AJ on the bubble. Only 5 drivers that can be comfy. Oh yeah, Xfinity was getting crazy yesterday. Danica Patrick for Hall of Fame, highest achieving female driver. I don't know about that. Haha, again, NASCAR up yours and the playoffs, says Camaro. Yeah, this was not a great day for your playoff drivers once again. So once again, spoiler, the spoiler won the race and not a playoff driver. I do like this season that the drivers that aren't in the playoffs aren't driving the players that aren't driving the drivers that are in the playoffs like they've got bubble wrap on them. They're not giving them extra room and anything like that. They're racing them just like you would anybody else on any other given day. So I think that's been a good thing overall. This 4th place at Dega for Larson had to feel like winning a championship. It does, as a Larson fan. I'll just tell you that. It's the first time he hasn't been involved in a wreck. For sure. I agree. Sheldon Williams with the thumbs up there. Danica, say Kyle is not a big fan of Danica. I see. And I understand that. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the stuff that comes out of her mouth either. If NASCAR was racing in Bristol next week, that would be an issue, says Bruce Garvey. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably for sure. Because Bristol, yeah, that's a good point. Move it. I'm with you on that one. Or back in the day, Asheville had a track too. So if they were racing at Asheville, they would have to move that one too. It's just like a walk-in park now. But they used to have a little short track up there, and way back in the day, like 60s and 50s and 40s, they ran up in Asheville in the Cup Series. If NASCAR is going, I just read that one. I predict Michael Jordan and Triple buy out the or Front Row Motorsports, I guess, buy out the France family in 2027. Says Triple H. I got you. Going back to his WWE theme here. Triple H. 18 different winners so far, says Cody Ledger. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Do we get to 20? We got plenty more races. We could possibly get to 20 different winners. That'd be pretty crazy. Did 18 different winners to start the year, says like dislike. Indeed you did. Did a good job there. Poll question. Do you think we should get rid of the damaged vehicle policy? Yes, 60%. No, 6%. 18% just modify it. 17% saying no, just no clock, just use an official. So there you go. Overwhelmingly, people at least want to modify it or get rid of it altogether. So that's looking like that's going to be the deal. Oh, even lower now for no. Only 5% for low. 73 votes in as it stands. Is Denny Hamlin out for Hall of Fame for NASCAR, says Sheldon Williams. If if the voting was today, I think that would be certainly an issue. And here's this is a good point I wanted to bring up. I'm glad you said that. So even if 2311 wins, NASCAR is going to feel some kind of way about it for the rest of Denny Hamlin's tenure, and also they'll probably find ways to punish 2311 because NASCAR is petty at the end of the day. NASCAR is going to be petty. So probably every single season, you're going to see like a random penalty for 2311 where they lose points and stuff like that because they're just going to probably NASCAR is going to be angry for a long time and they're going to take them hard. They'll probably let them slide the first year so it doesn't look obvious, but after that, you're just going to see these random penalties. Case in point, Carl Long. They wanted Carl Long out of the sport and they got petty with him. And he's still in the sport, but he's just barely hanging on. He was never able to build anything because they just got super petty with him over that engine deal. So even if you win, it could be a situation where you possibly lose. But I don't think they'll be as petty with 2311 and Michael Jordan as they were with Carl Long. But I do think there will be some pettiness at some point. Who doesn't play GoldenEye before streams? Says Say Kyle. Hey, GoldenEye, that's an all timer. That's an absolute classic video game. I heard the lawsuit for 2311 and Front Row might take a very long time. So next year they are running as open cars. Yeah, they filed an injunction to run under the same rules, even though they're not going to sign anything as the rest of the team. So if you won't, so they won't give up millions. So is this lawsuit financially worth it? Well, Michael Jordan can withstand it. Michael Jordan's partners can withstand it. So at the end of the day, if NASCAR wants to play that game, NASCAR is also going to be costing themselves millions of dollars. So it's in both of their best interests. A lot of money. So I don't see that necessarily for NASCAR because you're not going to break Michael Jordan. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that now. And a lot of people don't want to hear this, but Michael Jordan is bigger than NASCAR. There are more people on this planet that if I say Michael Jordan, they will recognize him. Whereas if I say NASCAR, they might be aware of it, but they'll know more about Michael Jordan than they would about NASCAR. Let's see. GoldenEye is the best, says in between the lane for the. I'm saying that it would be after the court case. It would be after the fact. Like everything settled is what I'm saying. What happens with the charters that 2311 and Front Row are supposed to be having? Says so they filed an injunction, so they'll just operate like every other team that signed the agreement is going to operate for 2025 until everything gets settled in court. First time I've ever supported Dana Hamlin on anything, says James Byrne. Even if you're not a Hamlin fan, you have to root for him to win the chip this year. Would love to see him. Would love to see the look on Jim France's face if he had to hand Denny and MJ the trophy. Says Sheldon Williams. That's a good point. I think it was it Tyler Reddick that won a race. Sort of all this was going down. Denny Hamlin had made a comment or something, and I think Tyler Reddick won the race. And a lot of people pointed out. I didn't check up on it and see if it was true, but a lot of people were pointing out that nobody went the regular season championship. That's what it was. A lot of people pointed out that there was no NASCAR official to hand Tyler Reddick his regular season championship, and they acted basically like nothing ever happened when Tyler Reddick won the championship. And a lot of people were pointing out that was some pettiness from NASCAR. Has NASCAR ever faced a team owner with more money than them, like Michael Jordan says, Camaro 50? I don't know if he's got more money than NASCAR. I'm just saying he's at a level that you're not going to break him. I would say that they're probably close to even there. Or you could be right. He could be tilted in the favor of Jordan there. It's hard to say. So Jordan as a person is huge, but as owner of a team, not as big. Just look at the Charlotte Hornets. Did they sell out because of him? Says Escobar. He's not. He doesn't own the Charlotte Hornets anymore. He sold that stake off, but he's still a bigger name than NASCAR. Like, I mean, you might not like it, but if I say Michael Jordan, 10 out of 10 people are going to know what I'm talking about, if nothing more than the sneakers. If I go like overseas and say NASCAR, some people will never have heard. They will have no clue what you're talking about. They'll probably think you're talking about some government agency like NASCAR. Like, what is that? Like, do I have my papers? So I would say globally, Jordan is a much bigger name. I absolutely do not have to root for Denny Hamlin to win the championship, says Say Kyle. It would be funny, though, if he won the championship. So James Byrne saying winning the championship. Looked it up earlier. Jordan Brand is worth $6.5 billion. NASCAR is worth $25 billion, but Jordan is 100% a bigger name, says Say Kyle. So there you go. There you go. You're not going to break somebody with $6.5 billion. Just not going to happen. $25 billion, and you got to think about that. That's spread out amongst a bunch of assets too. So it is what it is. That's not one person with 25 billion. That's not Jim France is worth 25 billion. So it's not necessarily apples to apples, but it is what it is. NASCAR invented the charter system to get rid of starting parks. Now it's come back to bite them. Hey, there you go. Favorite comment so far, like dislike. That's exactly what it was. Trying to get rid of Derek Hope and Carl Long, and guess what? Bit you in the butt. They also did it because the guy from Michael Waltrip Racing, he wanted something because he was going to have to sell his race team. So that was the other part of it too. So sort I would say was probably sort of 50-50 there. Uh, well, we see he sold it because it wasn't worth owning. I love Jordan. I was a huge fan of his growing up, but I just don't think owning a Cup team or not owning a Cup team would make a huge difference for NASCAR. I'm just talking about I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about in the lawsuit. They're not going to. You can extend the lawsuit as long as you want to. You're not going to break Michael Jordan. That's what I was talking about as far as his money and his name being big. His name being big is going to get the public's support on your side, I guess, is what I was getting at with that. Let's see, probably 25 billion with track assets. I wouldn't be shocked if Jordan had more liquid assets than the Francis. Yeah, and at the end of the day, like you billionaires hide money better than anybody else, so you never really know who owns what and who has the most. That's why I always find it funny when they're like, "Oh, this guy's the richest man in the world." I'm like, yeah, I mean, once you get to a billion, like it would be hard to go broke with that type of money. So it is what it is. There you go. So Jordan's worth 3.5 billion. So like I said, you can pull up any numbers you want to. It's all going to vary. It's all going to vary. And I only know this because I did research on richest car owners, and then I lost all my research when a computer crashed. So at one point I was looking up all this, and every time you look up somebody, you find a different number. So it just depends. You would have to find a consistent list that has everybody you're looking up on it, and there was no consistent list. It is what it is. Jordan is literally a bull. What happens when you mess with a bull? You get the horns, Shaw. So there you go. All right. Looks like we've reached the end of this one. I'm going to go work on the video for tomorrow and then call it a night. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Final effort on the poll question, 59% saying yes, get rid of the DVP, 20% just want it modified, 16% just want no clock to use and use an official instead, and 5% says no, don't get rid of the DVP with 76 votes. Much appreciated. All right. Thanks for hanging out. Till the next time. Peace.